Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 123 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. I'm Christine.
And I'm Sam.
Yep, and here we are again.
We are indeed right here.
Back again to talk to you about all things vegan.
Well, at least some things. I mean, we can't get to all things all times.
No. We haven't been up to a whole lot. Sam is done with winter break, unfortunately.
Well, fortunately and unfortunately, breaks are always lovely. It's great to have some downtime, to just kind of hibernate, particularly in the winter. And it's been pretty snowy this last week, so we really have been in hibernation mode. But it's also really great to see all of my students again. I taught 4 classes today, it's the first time in a long time I've taught 4 classes in a day.
Yeah.
So it was really pretty great. And we're off to a good start. So glad to be back.
Yeah, that's good. During the break, we went over and locked in some future Veg Fest dates, which we will keep you posted on. We have, oh my gosh, I don't know, like 8 different events so far.
We're doing, because our whole thing is, when we first started the podcast, I think that summer we did 1 Veg Fest.
We did the Western New York Veg Fest. Yeah.
And then last year we did 3.
Yeah.
And so we're gradually expanding. So this summer we're thinking, 5 or 6, depending on the dates and where they're located.
Yeah, as long as the dates don't conflict with each other. We'd like to do Buffalo. We'd like to do Syracuse. Hopefully Rochester will get theirs organized this year. We would like to do Pittsburgh. We would like to do Cleveland,
and
Albany. So that's 6.
That's 6.
So
that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. And then on top of that, we'll have 2 events at Panama Rocks.
Yeah.
And we'll have a couple of pop-up markets at the Vegan Center.
Yeah, Fredonia Farm Festival.
The Fredonia Farm Festival.
Yeah.
So, all kinds of stuff. So we're trying to make it a pretty event-packed summer.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much all we've been up to. So let's just jump into the episode. We do have a recipe this week.
We do.
It's a recipe from our vegan kitchen. And this week, the recipe is my vegan vegetable and white bean soup, which we had, I think it was last week. We had it with Sarah Sullivan's vegan cheddar biscuits. Oh, no, it was the week before.
It was 2 weeks ago,
yeah. But this is a soup that I make quite often.
I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I love soup.
Yeah, you do like soup.
I really like soup. And
I think it was you had me at soup.
Yes.
Yeah. So
you had me at soup. Yeah. And I'm a sucker for a good slaw, and you had me at soup. Those are my things. I think we need to make stickers of that or
catchphrases.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so a couple of weeks ago, I said to Christine that as I go back to school, can you make, more to the point, because, she does the cooking. Can you make a soup once a week? Because that also makes a really good, take to work lunch. With the leftovers, that kind of a thing. So this was the first of those, the vegan vegetable and white bean soup. And it's a classic. It's so warming and tasty and just, I don't know, there's something so satisfying about soup.
There really is, especially this time of year.
Yeah, and not just tummy satisfying, but soul satisfying.
Yeah.
About soup.
I try to put the love in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes with biscuits, soup and biscuits, who's going to complain? Yeah,
so like I said, we had it with Sarah Sullivan's vegan cheddar biscuits, and you can get Sarah's recipe in the show notes of episode 121 of our show. And you can get this recipe. The full recipe will be up on our Patreon page for our patron community. And if you'd like access to all the recipes that come from our vegan kitchen series, you can join our Patreon community and have access to all those recipes and try them yourselves.
Yeah. And we do have big plans for the Patreon in 2024. We kind of feel like we've got the podcast itself kind of not exactly on autopilot, but it's in good order these days, so we can start expanding a little bit, do some Patreon exclusive episodes, do some cooking videos, do all kinds of fun stuff for our Patreon community.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to diving more deeply into that.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to our noteworthy section. We have a couple of things we want to talk about this week on our noteworthy section. The first is something Sam wanted to talk about, which is Edinburgh joining the plant-based treaty, right?
Yes. So I found out yesterday that the city of Edinburgh in Scotland has approved the Plant-Based Treaty Action Plan, which I think is absolutely awesome. So the Edinburgh Council has taken another step towards achieving its climate goals as councillors passed a citywide Plant-Based Treaty Action Plan following the council's endorsement of the Plant-Based Treaty last year. The plan will improve access to plant-based foods among residents, promote food security, and lower food emissions. You can read the action plan in full on their website, but some of the highlights are they will be piloting healthy plant-based snacks when delivering activities with young people in libraries. They will deliver interventions in schools to raise awareness around the environmental impact of food. They will be adding carbon emissions to printed menus for outlets and events at the University of Edinburgh. They will promote Edinburgh's plant-based treaty endorsement and encourage caterers to increase plant-based options. They will mark Veganuary in the council office buildings by promoting a vegan dish of the week throughout January. A letter will be written to all of the City of Edinburgh Council's sister and twin cities to encourage them to endorse the plant-based treaty. And they will meet with the Better Food Foundation to explore ways to increase the uptake of plant-based food in city venues.
Wow, that's all good stuff.
It is all good stuff.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with the plant-based treaty, you can go to their website. It's plantbasedtreaty.org and find out how you can endorse the plant-based treaty as an individual, and you can recommend that your city or county or town also endorse the plant-based treaty.
Yes, exactly. So Christine and I have both endorsed the plant-based treaty personally, but our organization, Compassion and Cucumbers, is also a signatory of the plant-based treaty.
Yep. They do good work.
They do. They do outstanding work. And so they're another really, really great organization who could also use your support if you're looking for charitable organizations.
And the other noteworthy thing that we wanted to talk about was in London, there is a vegan theater company that goes by the name of Patch Plays, and they're currently producing a show, a play that centers around two slaughterhouse workers.
I can't even tell you how much I wish I had known that this was going on when I was just in London.
I know. I don't think it had actually opened while you were there, to be honest.
Oh, you're right. It hadn't. I would have missed it anyway. It didn't open until January 17th.
Yeah, it's running from January 17th to February 3rd.
But still,
at the Southwark Playhouse in
wish
Borough.
That I could see it. Yeah, just amazing. So, according to Plant-Based News, Patch Plays is a vegan theater company that is looking to break the mold and create thought-provoking plays that are vegan in nature, but that will appeal to a wider audience. And that's exactly what they are hoping to achieve with their newest production called Blood on Your Hands, showing at the Southwark Playhouse in Borough, London from January 17th to February 3rd. So if you are in the London area and are looking for a theatrical experience that is specifically vegan.
Yeah, run by vegans, vegan writers, vegan playwrights, vegan directors.
Like, just amazing.
It's fantastic. Patch Plays, I guess, is early in its mission. Mm-hmm. They've been around for about 4 years now, but they've already achieved a bunch of critical acclaim, I guess.
Yeah, super cool. So I'm definitely going to be checking them out because I do know that I will be returning to London next January with the same trip that I did this year.
Yeah.
And so hopefully, even if we don't make a Patch Plays play a group event, I will be able to go see it on the side.
Yeah. I guess one of the last productions they did was a show called Meet Cute, which told the story of a woman trying to veganize her Tinder dates, which that sounds
really funny.
Really entertaining.
Yeah, really funny. The work that is currently up now, Blood on Your Hands, tackles a looming issue that is not often at the forefront of vegan discussions: the impact of the animal agriculture industry on the slaughterhouse workers themselves. The majority of these workers are migrants or people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds who are taking the jobs out of absolute necessity rather than choice. The play touches on themes such as the conditions for workers, the mental health issues that are created by such grueling work, the low pay, and the question around the necessity of this level of demand for animal-derived products. The production has been described by London theater reviews as sinister, moving, and electric.
Yeah, I wish we could see it.
I do too.
Yeah.
Like, I wish we could just hop a plane for London right now.
I know.
Yeah.
It really sounds fantastic.
It does.
And I'm really kind of sad that we didn't know that this theater company existed until now.
Yeah.
You know, because we had two opportunities. Sam had one and we had one together to support them. Mm-hmm. But we'll definitely try to support them the next time we're over across the pond.
Oh, absolutely. We'll be keeping an eye on Patch Plays for sure.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about our main topic.
Let's do it.
We are once again doing a deep dive into the vegan Reddit, Am I the Asshat?
I love these episodes. They're just fun.
They are fun and evocative, right?
Yeah, we get some good conversation out of it.
We do.
So, hey, let's do it.
So let's just let's jump into our first poster here that wants to know if they're an asshat. Am I the asshat for not stopping a vegan from eating non-vegan food? Yeah, and so this person says, I eat a lot of plant-based foods for health reasons. I'm not a vegetarian or /vegan, but from the outside, it does seem that way. I bring lunch from home to the office to eat, and it's always a lot of vegetables, tofu, etc., with no visible meat. But at the same time, it's not vegetarian or vegan because I might cook it in meat-based broths, use fish sauce. Sometimes it's got meat on the inside, just not visible on the outside or something. A lot of people in the office have made the assumption that I am vegetarian or vegan, but if they ask me, I always correct them to say that I'm not. Recently, there was an office potluck. I brought in some of the food I usually make for myself and made it clear it's not for vegetarian or vegan people. Later on, I see a coworker who I assumed was vegetarian or vegan eat some of the food that I had made. As a general personal rule for the office, I don't make comments about people's food habits or diets. So I didn't say anything, especially because I wasn't 100% sure they didn't eat meat. Later on, they blamed me for tricking them into eating non-vegan food. They said that I presented myself in a false manner as a vegetarian or vegan, and so they assumed that the foods that I would make would all be vegetarian or vegan. They said that since I saw them eating my food, I should have stopped them. As it turns out, they had put my dish at the edge of the two sections right next to the vegan section, so I could see why she mistook my food for being vegan. I moved it further to the right section, but the damage was already done. Am I the asshat for not being more loud about my diet, letting people make assumptions, and not stopping her from eating the food that I made?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's your responsibility to be loud about your diet. Yeah, I mean, unless you're in a situation at a potluck where you have really severe allergies, and by this I mean life-threatening allergies, and you need to be loud about that to say, hey, there can't be anything with peanuts on the table or anything of that sort. I don't think it's a requirement for you to be loud about your food choices. I don't know what most of my colleagues' preferences are. I don't... and
right.
I don't ask.
And it doesn't sound like this person was certain of their coworkers where they stood, whether they were vegan, non-vegan, or not.
That's right. They're making an assumption. And so I don't believe that there are any asshats here just because, I mean, the person who is now accusing the writer of tricking her or him, I think is being a little bit of an asshat,
yeah.
But because everything is based on assumption, not knowledge, the author of the post didn't mean to make this person eat something that was non-vegan. I think the real solution to an issue like this is just make sure that every dish is labeled.
Yeah. And like he said, or she said, it doesn't say, they did have separate tables for vegan and vegetarian food. But this person's food was like right on the edge of one of the tables.
So I would say just in this kind of situation, ask that every dish be labeled, which honestly, in this day and age of food allergies
Yeah.
and gluten allergies and all of that. I really think if you're doing a potluck, you should just write out a little card that includes all of the ingredients.
Yeah, for each dish.
That's right.
Yeah.
So everybody knows what they're getting into.
Yeah, and this person might benefit also by discussing. I understand why somebody might not want to, but it probably would have prevented this situation if this person would have discussed with their coworkers that they are not vegan or vegetarian,
Right.
that their food is plant-based. So I'm assuming that they put cheese and things like that.
Could be.
They said that they sometimes cook with like chicken broth or beef broth.
Yep.
And they should just make that clear to people,
Yeah,
that they're not
absolutely.
vegan or vegetarian, and food that they bring in is not suitable for vegans or vegetarians.
Right. Because just because someone's an omnivore doesn't mean they're going to be visibly eating meat all the time.
Right.
You know, so maybe this person doesn't eat a whole lot of meat, but does
Yeah, that's what it
use
sounds like.
broths and sauces and things like that, so they're not essentially fully omnivore, but they're not fully vegetarian or vegan either.
Yeah.
So, and that's okay. That's a perfectly viable choice.
Yeah, well, the people in this forum seem to agree with us, and it does say at the top of the post they were voted as not the asshat.
No. I completely agree.
Yeah, me too.
This person is not an asshat.
No, I think their coworker. Here we go with the like half of a hat kind of situation.
Yeah, the coworker who is angry at being tricked into eating something non-vegan.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's any reason to get angry about that. Every now and again, something happens, and we might eat something that we are unaware has something in it.
Yeah.
We can't control that at all times.
No.
And so if you find out after the fact that something had butter in it, or, you can just go, wow, I wish I'd known that.
Right. You just have to chalk it up to it was a mistake. Anybody could have made it. And
That's right.
You got to move on.
That's right.
You've got to.
Yeah. There's no point in retaining any kind of animosity or resentment.
No. And I think at that point, it's a good idea in like a work setting situation that you come up with some sort of policy about, like Sam said, putting a little card in front of the dishes so that everybody knows what's in them.
Simple.
I
mean, personally, I think everything should be labeled at all restaurants, at all potlucks. Just let folks know what they're getting into.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You want to read the next one?
I'm happy to. So our next author asks, am I the asshat for getting upset with my vegan wife who refuses to cook meat for me and our kids?
Now, I will do what Sam sometimes does, and like right from the get-go, I would say yes.
Yes, I'm right there.
But let's hear his story.
Yes. I, a 35-year-old male, and my wife, a 34-year-old female, have been married for 10 years and have 2 children, a 7-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl. My wife is a homemaker and has always taken care of the family's meals. I work in a technology company and have a very tight schedule. A month ago, my wife decided to become vegan for ethical reasons. I respected her choice, but we agreed that I and our kids wouldn't change our diet. She agreed to continue cooking meat for us as our kids enjoy it and are not fans of vegetables or such dishes. However, 2 days ago, she told me that she would no longer cook meat for us. She said she felt bad about choosing corpses at the butcher and preparing them at home. It was a matter of principle for her, as well as a contradiction to abstain from eating meat but still buying and preparing it. She stated that she would only make vegan meals for the entire family, and if we wanted meat, I would have to cook. I got very upset about this, as I don't have time to cook, especially with an ambitious project coming up at my company. We argued a lot about it, and she called me insensitive and ignorant. Our kids will be back from my parents' house at the end of the month, and I don't want them to go through this change with her. So, is the author the asshat for getting upset with his vegan wife who refuses to cook meat?
I have to say, yeah. I mean, I can understand his initial response, given that he feels that he doesn't have the time and that his very important, according to him, job does not allow him enough time to cook meals for him and his children. So I'll give him that, sure, be upset right off the bat. But he doesn't seem to be giving, even though he says he respects her choice, he doesn't seem to be giving her reasoning any kind of real thought. you know?
Right. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's appropriate in any situation to force a vegan to cook meat.
Yeah, to buy
meat
yeah.
or to eat meat.
Yeah, I know neither one of us would be able to do that if the other one was eating meat. It would be up to the other one to feed themselves.
That's right.
To buy it and feed themselves.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's one thing we understand when we are with omnivore friends or omnivore family that they may not be preparing vegan meals. We'll take care of ourselves. That's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Or we will offer to cook for the family and
Sure.
make vegan meals,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to not inconvenience them and that kind of a thing. But, you know, if our family asked us to cook dinner, they're going into it knowing that it is going to be vegan, that we are not going to purchase or cook meat.
Right. And maybe they need to go back because he states at the beginning that they agreed that he and the kids would not change their diet because the kids aren't fans of vegetables or such dishes.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need to revisit that agreement, and she needs to make some dishes for the kids. Like, come on, pasta dishes.
Sure.
You know, there's a million dishes that she could make that her kids would probably love.
Absolutely.
You know, garden burgers and French fries.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's all kinds of things. In this day and age, there's no reason why her kids can't be eating vegan as long as they're getting the proper nutrition that they need to get, you know, in order to thrive as children.
Yeah.
So I think that agreement just needs to be revisited. If the point is he doesn't have enough time to cook meat, then maybe he should also consider not eating it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And, you know, sure, you make an agreement, and this happens all the time. You make an agreement between you and your spouse, and then all of a sudden the agreement maybe doesn't quite work. And that's because people evolve and change.
Right.
This woman is relatively new to veganism.
It sounds
She's
like it,
early
yeah.
on in her vegan journey. Well, because this was posted 4 days ago and it states a month ago.
Yeah.
My wife decided to become vegan.
Right.
So she's very early on in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And so what she thought might be tenable at the beginning, now that she's a month or so in, she's like, no, I actually can't do this.
Right, because I'm sure she's educating herself and you know, realizing that, no, this was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
You know, you can't take an ethical stance against eating meat and animal flesh and
still buy it.
Byproducts of animals and still buy it and cook it.
That's right.
It's not gonna jive with your ethics.
It's
you know?
not. It's going to feel like hypocrisy
Yeah.
because it is hypocrisy.
Yeah.
You know, and so I don't think that in any relationship, one person can force the other into something that makes them a hypocrite.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess I'll say, yeah. Initially, definitely.
What was that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I would say from the get-go, yes, his reaction, the way he was so reactionary about it, yes, he acted like an asshat. And I'm hoping that there'll be maybe some follow-up on this where he's had some time to think about it and they've had some time to discuss about, you know, feeding the children and all that, and that they can come to an agreement.
Yes. I mean, and there are also other options. You know, for example, maybe they agree to eat solely vegan meals X number of days a week so that everyone's eating together. Maybe they choose to eat out where the mom can eat vegan and the dad and the kids don't need to, but mom still isn't forced to make meat, to prepare meat. So I think there are a lot of ways to kind of maneuver around this. But yeah, the idea that this man believes that his wife should be required to cook meat for him and the kids, yeah, you're being a bit of an asshat.
Yeah, I hope she sticks to her guns.
I do too. We're behind you.
100%. Okay, so our next scenario. Am I the asshat for telling my vegan sister she can't serve only vegan food at our family reunion? Hey, I'm genuinely torn about this and I need some clarity. Every year, our family has a reunion where different members host. This year, it's my younger sister's turn. She's been vegan for about 3 years and is quite passionate about it. We all respect her choices and make sure there are a good variety of vegan options whenever we have family gatherings. When she announced that she would be hosting, she also said that the entire menu would be vegan to align with her beliefs and that it's a chance for the family to try something different. Some family members were excited, but others, including many of the older folks, were pretty upset and felt like they were being forced into her lifestyle, even just for one meal. I spoke to her privately and asked if she'd be open to including a few non-vegan dishes for those who aren't keen on a full vegan menu. And she got quite defensive, saying that this was her chance to showcase veganism and that for one meal, everyone can give it a go. I respect her beliefs, but I also think that forcing an entire family to adopt her choices, even for just one meal, isn't fair. She's now upset with me for not being supportive and says I'm not respecting her choices. Am I the asshat? Before you answer, there's an update. I thought I would just answer a couple of questions here so they're not lost in the comments. Number 1, there is no set rotation. The hosting goes to whoever wants to host most. Hasn't hosted before, and in this case, she wanted to host. Number 2, we have managed to come to a compromise where people can bring their own food as long as it doesn't contain meat, which I think is fair. Number 3, just for some context, she works at a well-known UK fast food place, so she has no issue handling, preparing, serving meat, although I get that this can be different at home. So she just wanted to add a couple of caveats to that. So do you think this person's being an asshat by getting angry at her sister for wanting an entirely vegan menu for one meal for the reunion?
A little bit, yeah.
I think so too. It's one meal, and I understand with older folks sometimes it can be a bit of a trial trying to,
sure,
And I think that they shouldn't even have mentioned it. She should have just made her food.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. Yeah. And I think that the host of the party, really kind of has the right mindset about it. Like, it's a chance to showcase veganism, and to show people what's possible when eating vegan. Because I know, we know that a lot of people think that veganism is, just kind of boring or even gross.
Right.
Which is so not the case.
Right.
And so I think that's really kind of awesome. And I think she's right for sticking to her ethics.
Yeah, I think she's got the right idea. And I think that her family would have been surprised by the foods that she made.
I agree. When we do family gatherings, we do something kind of similar. Our family is very aware that if we are cooking, it's going to be vegan. There's going to be no meat, no fish, no dairy, no eggs.
Right.
It's just not going to be present. But we welcome them to bring their own stuff.
Yeah, we give them that opportunity. We don't like to give them that opportunity, but
not really.
We have to respect other people's choices. If they're we tell people what we're going to make.
Yes.
And if they really don't want to eat what we're going to make, which why wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. We always say you can bring something if you want. Very rarely does anybody bring anything.
Yeah, I mean, the last time anyone brought anything, it was just regular hot dogs.
To a picnic, somebody brought regular hot dogs.
To a picnic, because they were worried that our niece wouldn't like the vegan hot dogs.
Right.
And, I have to admit, vegan hot dogs are not quite as fantastic as some of the other vegan meat replacers.
Yeah, I agree.
So I can kind of sort of see that. And fortunately, our neighbor agreed to cook them on his grill, so we didn't have to cross-contaminate ours, which was really sweet of him.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So I think that's okay, like just that agreement that you can bring something if you really need to, but I am personally not going to provide you with animal-based foods.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think the family is missing an opportunity here,
Yeah.
And I think her sister's missing an opportunity to understand her younger sister's position and why she made the choice to go vegan. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, now it is interesting, I think, that the younger sister, the one who hosts, works at a fast food restaurant and handles animal products.
That is interesting. But I also try not to judge people for the things that they have to do to support themselves.
I completely agree.
Especially in this economy.
Yes.
So while that was surprising, I kind of... the fact that she added that was kind of like a dig, and I didn't appreciate that. And like I said, I don't like to judge people for what they have to do to support themselves. You know?
No, not at all. And I do think that there's a clear difference. You know, every now and again, you know, of course, sometimes we have to do work that we don't particularly like or even that we don't necessarily believe in.
Right.
But this woman who was hosting the party should be able to stick to her own ethics within her own home without question.
Yeah, absolutely.
And her family, I believe, should respect that.
Yeah. So I think the final verdict is yes, you are the asshat.
Yeah, bit of an asshat. I mean, and the votes, according to Reddit, are, they say, asshat poo mode.
I guess poo mode must be like the top of the tier, you know?
See, now, I think we've heard worse
We've
asshat stories
definitely
than
heard
this.
worse. Yeah, we've definitely heard worse.
But I think that's a really interesting designation. Asshat poo mode.
Right.
Never seen that before.
I haven't either. What is our next scenario?
Am I the asshat for telling my sister she's overreacting about my vegan wedding?
The wedding ones, they're always fun.
They're always a good time. So I, a 24-year-old female, recently got engaged and decided to have a vegan wedding to align with my ethical beliefs. This issue arose when I told my sister, 27, about the menu plans, and she completely lost it, claiming I'm being unreasonable and forcing my beliefs on everyone. I tried explaining that it's my wedding and I want it to reflect my values, but she insists I'm being inconsiderate to our meat-loving family. Now she's threatening to boycott the wedding altogether if I don't include at least some non-vegan options. I love my sister, but I don't want to compromise on my principles for my big day. Am I the asshat for sticking to my vegan guns, or should I make changes to keep the peace?
Absolutely not. It's your wedding. Do what you want. If your sister doesn't want to come to your wedding because she can't have meat, then I don't even know what to tell you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, that's just so, the fact that somebody thinks of one meal as forcing your beliefs on them, that always just, I don't know, it just chaps my butt. You know what I'm saying? It just seems so extreme. You know?
Yeah.
It seems so extreme. It's her wedding.
Yes.
Why can't she pick the food at her wedding?
That's right.
Have you been to a vegan catered wedding? The food's going to be fantastic.
Yes.
You are simply, if you don't go because there's no meat involved, you're simply going to miss out on not only your sister's big day and a very important day in her life, but you're going to miss out on some really, really good food.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely. Yes.
So I don't think she's the asshat.
I don't either. Again, it's the author's wedding. She has every right to choose the food that she wants served at her wedding.
Yeah.
And if someone is not going to attend a wedding for lack of meat,
maybe she could call up that other lady, if you've listened to our last one, that brought the vegan
sausage rolls.
Not vegan.
The non-vegan sausage rolls.
She brought like a bag of sausage rolls to her sister's wedding.
Well, maybe, you know, this is, well, then that would give the sister an idea. So,
yeah, I don't understand why people can't just put their meat eating aside for one day to support somebody in their family.
Absolutely.
You know? If you love your sister, you will not care what she served. Who cares what she served? If, you know, when my sister got married, I didn't care what the food was. That's not the point.
Yeah.
That's not why you're there.
Not at all.
You're there to help her celebrate her wedding.
Right.
You know?
And if I were invited to a wedding that had no vegan options, I would still go to the wedding.
Yeah.
I wouldn't eat.
Right.
I would eat beforehand.
Right. Plan accordingly.
Or eat afterwards.
Eat
have
beforehand. Bring a power bar.
Bring
whatever.
some snacks. Yeah. It's not about the food. So
Right.
I wouldn't not go to a wedding simply because my dietary choice is not being reflected in the menu.
It seems so ridiculous to me. I just couldn't imagine like getting an invitation in the mail from somebody who invited you to their wedding, especially somebody in your own family, and then looking at the food choices and going, nope, not going to that.
Yeah.
it's so ludicrous.
It's ridiculous.
Me, you know?
Yes.
So, no, sweetheart, you are not the asshat.
Absolutely not. And have a wonderful wedding.
Yeah, that was 1 month ago, so I'm not sure if she's married yet or not.
Well, probably not. If she's in menu planning phase,
Yeah.
nah, she's not married yet.
Is the next one me?
The next one is indeed you.
Okay, our next, is this the last one?
No, there's two more.
Okay. Our next scenario. Am I the asshat for making my son eat vegan for a month as punishment?
Okay, hang on a second. I don't like the premise of this off the bat.
Let's get into it.
Okay.
Let's get into it. My family and friends are calling me abusive, but I cannot see how any of this is abusive or asshattish in any way. So, I have two kids, a 16-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl. Last year, my daughter decided to go vegan. I didn't have any problem with this one bit. I gave her the money that I would spend on food for her anyway. She buys her own food and cooks it herself if what her mom is making isn't vegan. And it has been the tiniest change that we've ever had to go through. For some reason, though, my son has taken this change as an opportunity to bully his sister. I've made it clear to him that this is not okay at all and have punished him several times for his bullying, but it has never seemed to have gotten through to him. Last week, this all came to a head when my son took all the food my daughter had bought for the week and hid it, pretending that he threw it away on garbage day. I got a call in the middle of the day at work from my daughter crying and saying that he had thrown all of her food away. I had to rush home only to discover that it was just a prank. I was livid. I was ready to make him eat nothing but rice for the rest of his time under my roof, but my wife calmed me down and came up with a better plan. So for the next 30 days, we're going to eat nothing but vegan food. We will make nothing but vegan food and buy nothing but vegan products. I told my son this, and that if he wants anything else, he will be paying for it. He lost his mind. But for the past 5 days, we have been a vegan family. Well, my son called my parents, and they rang me up furious, telling me that I was abusing him. I ended up hanging up on them. The rest of my family followed suit, and some friends have now joined in, saying that this is asshattish of me. My son is miserable, but I really don't care. He brought this upon himself. He still has food to eat and can spend what little pocket money he has to buy meat for the next 25 days if he wants to. So am I the asshat? I'm saying no. I'm saying absolutely no.
I don't think it's an asshat situation, but I don't like the idea of veganism being used as a punishment.
No, I totally don't like that idea either. But what else would you do in this situation? You know, I mean, if this has been a constant thing with him picking on his sister for her veganism.
Right. And that obviously needs to stop. There's no question about that.
And they've tried several other ways to stop it.
Right. So, you know, hopefully it would be effective. But I don't like framing veganism as a punishment.
Yeah.
And I don't like the possibility that, you know, the son being so angry about being made to be vegan for 30 days will then result in backlash against his sister, which is entirely possible.
Yeah.
And just will also kind of give him a reason to hate vegans and veganism moving forward.
It could go either way. You know, it really could go either way. I think the bigger issue here is this guy's friends and family all calling him abusive for it.
Yes, that's going way too far.
Yeah.
There is nothing abusive about having your child be vegan.
Right. For 30 days.
Right. Well, about it for any length of time.
Right.
But, you know, a 30-day stretch, you know, where not only the son, but the entire family.
Yeah, they're all eating vegan and
is eating vegan.
He is free to buy meat if he chooses out of his own pocket money.
That's right. If he wants to go to McDonald's and get a cheeseburger, he's free to do that.
Yeah.
It's just his parents are not paying for it.
Yeah, I don't think that this is abusive at all. I agree with Sam that I don't like the idea of using veganism as a punishment, and hopefully it doesn't backfire, like Sam said, and make him further resent his sister for her veganism. And I'm hoping that it turns the other way, and that possibly after a month of eating vegan meals, he decides, well, I don't know why I've been picking on my sister. This is not so bad. I don't know. You know, he's a 14-year-old boy, okay? So
16.
Oh, is he 16?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The daughter's 14.
Oh, yeah, okay. he's 16. So he's older. He's the asset.
Yes.
But he's a 16-year-old boy.
And
You know,
so
what are
I
you gonna
suppose
do?
there's some of that to be expected. I also think that, the friends and family who are calling and saying you're abusing your child are way out of line.
Oh, hugely out of line. Number one, let people parent the way they want to parent. And number two, it's food. It's not like they're starving the kid.
Right.
You know?
That's right.
Where is the abuse here? You know?
I don't see any.
Yeah.
And I do have to give the parents props here for supporting their vegan daughter.
I agree. That
You know?
they give her the money that they would normally spend on her share of the family's food, and she's allowed to pick out whatever food she wants.
And she cooks it herself.
That's great.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And just the idea that they're, giving her, that they respect her choice, even though they don't follow it.
Right. And
themselves.
maybe they will after these 30 days.
Who knows? But just that they respect it, and they're also teaching her to take care of herself, to cook for herself.
Right.
That's a really wonderful life skill.
Yeah.
So I'm really pleased with the parents in this story for supporting their vegan kid.
Yeah, me too.
And no, I do not think there is asshattishness going on here on the part of the parents. No.
Yeah. Me neither. What's next?
Am I the asshat for telling my vegan roommate no one cares about her documentaries?
This one made me chuckle. Just the heading made me chuckle.
Okay. I, an 18-year-old male, am living in shared accommodations with an 18-year-old female and 3 other people for college. We all have our own rooms, but share the kitchen and living area. I will call my vegan roommate Sarah for the purpose of this post. I'm totally fine with veganism, and Sarah is nice enough. When we first moved in, she asked if she could have the top fridge shelf and keep it vegan, and not to use her cooking things without asking, and to only use it to make things like vegetables to avoid cross-contamination. This isn't an issue, and I respect her choices. However, as the weeks have gone on, it seems like she's subtly trying to convert the flat. For example, by sending everyone various documentaries on WhatsApp and suggesting we watch them whenever we do movie night. At first it was fine, but at this point it's honestly annoying, and more than just I feels this way. Also, she is rather judgmental and will leave any room someone is eating meat in. Well, last night I confronted her and essentially told her I'm not going to become a vegan, that I don't care about the documentaries, and that she's coming across as pushy. She got upset, and I'm wondering if I was too harsh. Am I the asshat?
I think right from the get-go, no. But I think this person knows that they didn't handle it well, that they did come off a little too harshly. But I think they were kind of pushed to it. So I don't think they're the asshat. I just think that they need to set some ground rules as far as movie night goes and all that.
Yeah.
That there needs to be a rotation, that each roommate is picking a movie, and if hers all happen to be vegan documentaries, well, then you're going to have to stick with that. And if you don't want to watch it, get up and go. I'm sure there's no rule that you have to stay for movie night.
I wouldn't imagine.
And I do appreciate Sarah's willingness to share all these documentaries with her flatmates. And like I said, they don't have to watch them if they don't want to. I don't know. I guess it's kind of like you have to be there kind of situation to see exactly how pushy is Sarah being.
Right. It's really, really hard to know.
Yeah.
Because what might seem pushy to one is really not pushy at all. Like it's
right.
Yeah, it's so situational.
Sending a link to a documentary on WhatsApp to somebody and suggesting that they watch them on a movie night does not seem pushy to me. Mm-mm. Because you have the freedom to say no.
Right. Yeah, and using the word judgmental, I mean, we can't know like what has been done or said that may come across as judgmental, so it's really hard to kind of assess that.
Yeah.
And, a vegan leaving a room that someone is eating meat in, I don't think that's a terrible choice.
And that's her right.
Yeah,
It's her right.
absolutely.
If it bothers her to be around somebody eating meat, then she should just walk away.
Right.
Yeah.
Because what would be really pushy would be to say, you can't eat meat when I'm in the room.
Right. She does the respectful thing and just leaves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So no, I don't think the author is an asshat. I also don't think Sarah is an asshat. I think there needs to be a little more communication.
Yeah.
Like actual conversation, not, hey, Sarah, I'm not going to be a vegan and I don't care about your documentaries.
Right.
Yeah.
How about say, we don't really feel like watching that tonight. Can we watch something else?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And just say, we respect your choice to be vegan. It's not a choice that we are making. And we understand that you're passionate about it, but we're sticking to what we do.
Yeah.
And hopefully she, Sarah, will respect their choice. But at the same time, I have to say, it would be hard to live with non-vegans.
I think, it would be very hard. And I mean, it's nice to see, because they're young, they're only 18.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that they're respecting her wanting separate pans and utensils and a separate space in the refrigerator, and that they don't have any problem with that.
I think that's wonderful.
That is great.
Yep.
They're not complaining about that at all. So I guess we would have to be there to see exactly how pushy is Sarah being.
Right.
Yeah,
we'd have to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah. But I don't think this person is an asshat. I think he was extremely direct, and maybe it came off as harsh, like he said.
Yeah, I agree with that. But again, I think just a little more open communication is called for here.
Yeah, a little more tact and more communication. And just set out a schedule. Let Sarah watch a vegan documentary or show you a vegan documentary once every 5th movie night or whatever.
Sure.
And if you don't want to watch it, go do something else.
Yeah.
Right?
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that brings to a close this round of Am I the Asshat?
Yeah, let us know what you think of these situations, if you agree or disagree with our verdict on the asshattery.
I really like that as a word, asshattery.
Or asshattishness.
No, I think asshattery is the way to go.
Well, an asshattery kind of sounds like a place where you would go to buy an asshat.
It totally does.
It not?
It really does. I think that's why I enjoy it so much.
I just came back from the asshattery. Look at this wonderful asshat I just purchased.
Exactly. I love it.
So let us know what you think of those situations, whether you agree with our verdicts and all that jazz. We do enjoy the vegan Reddit Am I an Asshats? They're interesting, and like I said, they're evocative, and we always have some good conversations around them. So
it's always a good time.
Yeah. Hey, that brings us to this week's helpful fact or tip to encourage you to go vegan and stay vegan.
This week's tip is discover new ingredients. There are thousands of edible plants to choose from, so why just stick to the same few you've always eaten? It's time to take a stroll down the produce aisle and pick up some new and exciting ingredients you've never tried before. Search out your local farm or produce markets to source fresh and seasonal produce that is bursting with flavor and often is much cheaper than what you can get at an average supermarket. Everything from tempeh to tofu, seitan, and aquafaba, there's a world of plant-based foods waiting to be tried.
Yeah, I think we've said this before. We've never had a more diverse diet than since being vegan.
Nope. Nope, we haven't.
And I have to tell you, where we live, there is a very large Latino population. So in the produce section, there's all kinds of produce that I've never tried before. Mm-hmm. And I'm always picking them up and going, what do you do with this? I often wish that there was somebody there actually buying them so I can say, what do you do with this? Or how do you cook this? Or what is this?
Well, I think you should start picking up some of those ingredients and we can look for recipes based on those ingredients.
Yeah, it could be fun.
Yeah.
Because there is all kinds of unusual produce in our produce section that I've never used before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start playing with that. That'd be great.
Would be. Hey, that brings us to our favorite part of the show.
Must be listener shout out time.
It's listener shout out.
Just want to give a shout out to all my fans watching. I love you guys. I love you.
This week's listener shout out goes to Liz R., otherwise known as Liz Happy Dog on Instagram. We don't know much about Liz. We know she listens to the show and that she's most likely vegan. Thanks for listening, Liz.
Yeah, we really don't know much about you, so contact us with your T-shirt size and address and tell us a little bit about yourself so we can send you a Compassion and Cucumbers swag bag. You can email us that information at compassionandcucumbers@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram or private message us on the Facebook.
And for those of you out there who want a listener shout-out, just email or DM Christine. Let us know what you think of the show and tell us a little bit about yourself. You could be next week's listener shout-out.
You could. And like I said before, and I'll say it again, my shout-out list is running very seriously, dangerously even, I might add, thin.
Dangerously?
Yes.
What happens when the listener shout-out list ends?
We don't have a listener shout-out.
Oh my God.
And I don't like not having a listener shout-out. I want to have a listener shout-out. So if you are listening now and have not emailed or DM'd us some information about yourself, or even just a note to say, hey, I listened to the show, I want a listener shout-out. That's all you have to say.
That's awesome.
We'll shout you out, and then you will get some merch. You get a T-shirt and a sticker and some buttons, and it's a good time.
It is a good time.
Yeah, so if you're a listener and you haven't contacted us, please do.
All right. That brings us to this week's Vegan Org of the Week, United Poultry Concerns. United Poultry Concerns is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the compassionate and respectful treatment of chickens, turkeys, ducks, and other domestic birds. They hold that the treatment of these birds in the areas of food production, science, education, entertainment, and humane companionship situations has a significant effect upon human, animal, and environmental welfare. UPC seeks to make the public aware of the ways in which poultry are used and to promote the benefits of a vegan diet and lifestyle. They provide information through a quarterly magazine, Poultry Press, their website, and their sanctuary in Machipongo, Virginia, on the Eastern Shore. To learn more and to support their work, go to upc-online.org.
Yeah, United Poultry Concerns is a wonderful organization, so check them out and support them if you can.
Rock on.
Hey, that brings us to the wrap-up. Can you believe it? And we're coming in a little bit under an hour.
Nice.
It's a miracle, I tell you, a miracle. It's a Christmas miracle.
It's a little late for that.
It's a New Year's miracle. It's a Valentine's Day. No, we're not there either.
Not there yet.
Anyway, let's wrap this up. As we wrap up, we want to encourage you to join the AFA Vegan Voter Hub and support the Agriculture Fairness Alliance in any way that you can. They're lobbying in D.C. on our behalf so that our vegan voices are heard. If you want to be included in the conversation, join the Vegan Voter Hub. The link is always in our show notes.
Well, with that, it's time to sign off.
It is. You did it again.
You have just listened to episode 123 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, and there's nothing left to say but where cukes and compassion are always the fashion. On the podcast.
You never know if we're going to sing or not.
You never do.
Thanks, James.
Have a great week, everyone.
Yeah, we'll talk to you all next Tuesday.
We love you.
Bye-bye.
The end.
If you'd like to support the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, well, you can do that by hopping on over to our Patreon page and becoming a patron. We have all the recipes from our vegan kitchen series up there, and we'll be adding some patron-only episodes in the near future. So thank you for supporting us at whatever level that you choose, and thank you again for listening to Compassion and Cucumbers podcast.